So isometric graph paper is really beautiful. At first it looks kind of intimidating and confusing, and you're like, why are they giving me little triangles if I'm supposed to be drawing straight lines and shapes and buildings? Assumedly you're using it for some sort of engineering or sketch purpose. Um, Basically, normally, I'm gonna hide it really quick. If I'm trying to draw, like, let's just say I'm making a square, I could draw it like this. But if we're like trying to engineer something, it's probably going to be a cube and not a square because things that we use are 3D and not 2D. So I could add these little lines. Now it kind of looks like a cube, right? But let's say I want something more detailed. I want a table. So I have the table from the front. This is what it's going to look like. I can draw the table, let's see, from the side, and then maybe from the side it's going to look about the same but with different dimension, right? Because it's a rectangle and not a square. I can draw the table from the top. It's just going to look like this. Well, I guess that's not right. Really, it would be like going the other way, but you get the idea. It's going to look like this. But this is not all of the detail that we need to draw or to sculpt or model or build the table, whatever we're trying to do with it, right? So that's where the isometric graph paper comes in, because now, using this paper, we can draw a more 3D view to give whoever's trying to interpret my drawing a better idea of what I was thinking. So we have all of these drawings of the table, and this is fine, but now, in order to use the isometric paper, the rule is you're always going to follow the line. Typically, you're following it this way, but you could go the other way if you want. So, if we're always following the line, the only exception, well, actually there's no exceptions, because the lines also go straight down. But let's just try and draw my table. I know the top of it is a rectangle, so it's something like this. And even though I'm not directly on the line, I'm still following the line, because obviously not everything is going to line up perfectly. If you're trying to be really precise, you might want to draw your thing at such a scale that it does line up perfectly, but if it doesn't, that's okay too. So we're following the line. Here's my top of the table. Now I know the table has legs, so how would I draw these? I can see it because of this space. I'm just going to keep following the line. I know that the legs will look something like this. Obviously this is not perfect. The table is also going to have some sort of slight overhang because we are not living in a completely flat world, as aforementioned. So it'll probably look more like that, and then we could erase this part of the leg, because obviously the leg will be there, but it's attached to the underside of the table, so we want to make that clear. Same thing for this leg. We're just following the lines. And then repeat for the other legs. And it's really as simple as that. You can use this to make just about anything you might ever need to explain to someone. I know there's a third leg here, so I can use that to see how far down it'll go. It'll go to about maybe there. It doesn't really matter. I'm not trying to be that precise. In like a real situation, you would have the measurements of things and you'd probably be drawing something to some sort of a scale. And there's our table. Not very good, but it gets the point across. And using the isometric paper, drawing on the lines, I was able to make this 3D drawing, even if I'm not that good at drawing things 3D. You can do it for other things too, not just a table, more complex shapes. A good way to practice is if you have building blocks, you can stack them on each other and then practice drawing them isometrically in this version, because obviously most people are able to draw simple shapes, which is probably what you're going to be starting out with in these sorts of ways. This is not such a struggle. And honestly, as long as you're putting dimensions on everything, if you have some sort of contact with who's going to use these drawings, or if you're the one who's going to use these drawings, they're probably not like important that they're entirely perfectly perfect, unless it's obviously for a job or something, but then I assume you know how to use the isometric graph paper anyways. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. Really, again, a great way to practice is using blocks. And yeah, good luck.